This happened to a group of my friends. This is one of the creepiest things that has ever happened to me, and I still get goosebumps thinking about it. It was a Saturday night, and I was hanging out with my friends. There were about 6 of us, and we were all in our PJs eating junk food and watching scary movies. We were laughing and having a good time when suddenly one of my friends brought up this creepy pasta she read on Reddit. The story was about a group of kids who found an abandoned house and dared each other to go inside. When they entered the home, they found a diary, and as they began reading it, they realized it belonged to a young girl who had recently moved in. But as they continued reading, they discovered that the girl wrote about how much she hated her new home and how she could unwait to move out. But then a few days later, she wrote about how she finally got her new room just the way she wanted it, and how she was so happy. And then the last entry said, "I finally got my new bed. It's so comfortable." And then the kids found a hidden message at the end of the diary saying, "Don't believe everything I say. My new room isn't finished yet. They haven't put the bed in yet. Please help me." And then the kids ran out of the house as fast as they could because they assumed that whoever wrote the diary was hiding in the house and waiting for them to come in. And when the police eventually searched the home, they found nothing but an old, dusty, rocking horse in the attic. As soon as my friend finished reading the creepy pasta, a notification popped up on her phone, and it was from a social media platform. The group chat she was in with her friends from middle school was suddenly active again for the first time in years. She showed us her phone, and we were all shocked. One of my friends even said, "Oh my God, that's like the exact same thing." And then another one of our friends joked and said, "Well, I guess we should check it out." So we all decided to go ahead and join the chat. The chat had about 15 girls in it, and there was a super awkward silence for a bit. Then one of the girls broke the ice and said, "Hey guys, what's up?" And then another girl responded, "Nothing much. Just sitting here waiting for someone to respond." And then the third girl said, "Who even invited you here? This is supposed to be a private chat." And then she explained that she left the chat years ago, when a bunch of boys from our school infiltrated the group and then started sending weird messages. She said she was surprised that the chat was even still open. And then a fourth girl said, "Oh, I remember that. I think it was senior year when everyone started going crazy over One Direction." Then one of the boys in our grade made a fake account and joined the chat, and then started acting like he liked Niall Horan. And then he kept calling everyone gay slurs. It was awful. And then one of the girls said, "I actually didn't mind. I thought it was pretty funny." And then another girl responded, "Yeah, it was so annoying. He wouldn't stop calling me a slur either, even after I told him I wasn't comfortable with it. Then he started making fun of me for being short and then called me ugly. And then I just left the chat. I completely forgot about it until now." And then one of the girls said, "Wait, why did we even start this chat in the first place?" And then she laughed and said, "I have no idea. I think it was just something to do. You know how we always did." And then one of the girls said, "Do you guys remember when insert name of a girl from our school? That was the best day ever." And then another girl said, "Yeah, I remember. I think it was the day after she died." And then another girl said, "No, that's not possible. She died 2 months ago." And then the girl who started the chat said, "What? How did she die? I didn't hear anything about it." And then the girl who responded said, "You didn't hear anything about it because you weren't in our friend group. She hung herself in a room after her boyfriend broke up with her." And then the girl who started the chat said, "Wait, so does that mean you knew her?" And then she said, "I knew her well. She was my best friend. And when I tell you this house is haunted, you better believe me." I grew up with 3 sisters, and we always had each other's back. We were best friends, and we told each other everything. So when one of us was struggling, the other 3 would be there for her in a heartbeat. One day, my youngest sister came home from school crying. She had just found out that her best friend had been talking about her behind her back. My sister was devastated because She thought that their friendship was unbreakable, but we told her that there are two sides to every story and that she should give her friend the benefit of the doubt. You don't know what she's going through, I said, putting an arm around her shoulder. Maybe her parents are getting a divorce, or maybe she's being bullied at home. You shouldn't jump to conclusions. She looked at me with tears in her eyes and nodded slowly. I guess you're right, she whispered. That's when we had the idea to send her a message through a social media platform, pretending to be a best friend. We wanted to find out if she was a good person or not. The message read, "Hey, is everything okay? You haven't replied to any of my messages." But before we could even send it, our mom stopped us. "That's not a very nice thing to do," she said, shaking her head. "Even if she's a bad person, you shouldn't treat her that way. Just talk to her like an adult and try to understand her side of the story." We knew that she was right, but we were so worried about our little sister that we didn't listen. We sent the message and waited for a reply. The next morning, my sister woke up to a notification from the chat. Her best friend had seen the message but refused to reply. This made her even sadder. But we told her that it was probably because she was busy. However, that same afternoon, her best friend sent her a long message, explaining why she hadn't replied sooner. It read, "I'm sorry I haven't been replying to your messages, but I've been really stressed out lately. My parents are getting a divorce, and I feel like they're both using me as a pawn in their little game. I'm also being bullied at school, and I don't feel like talking to anyone. I'm really sorry if I haven't been a good friend lately, but I need some time to sort everything out. Please understand." We were shocked. We had no idea that she was going through all of that. I felt so guilty for judging her that I immediately apologized and told her that she could always talk to me if she needed someone to lean on. But then something strange happened. Her best friend stopped replying to our messages. At first, we thought that it was because she was busy, but days turned into weeks and she still didn't reply. We were worried that she might have blocked us, but when we checked, she hadn't. Then one day, her best friend added her to a closed social media chat with two other girls. We were relieved that she had finally decided to talk to us, but we were also confused as to why she had added two other girls to the chat. The chat was called Best Friends Forever, and the other two girls in the chat were her other friends. They were also her best friends, and when we read through the chat, we realized that they had been talking about something terrible. It started out innocently enough. They were just talking about school and bored, but then one of the girls brought up a rumor that she had heard. It was a rumor about one of their classmates, a girl named Emma. "Have you guys heard that Emma's parents are getting a divorce?" she asked. "I heard that he might even marry one of his co-workers. If that's true, then poor Emma." "I know, right?" another girl replied. "She's such a nice person. I'm sure that she doesn't deserve this." They talked about how horrible this classmate's life must be, and how lucky they were to have such wonderful families. But then one of them sent a voice note. It was their best friend. And when we heard what she had to say, our blood ran cold. She said, "Actually, it's not a rumor. I know it for a fact because Emma told me herself." She also said that her dad already moved in with his coworker and that her mom is planning to do the same. Apparently, they both got tired of being together and decided to end their marriage so that they could be with other people. Emma's in a really bad state right now. She's barely talking to anyone. I think that I might pay her a visit this weekend. I haven't seen her in a while, and I just want to make sure that she is okay. At that moment, we realized that our own classmate was the one who had been talking about us behind our backs. We couldn't believe it. We had been so worried about her, and we had gone out of our way to send her a message. But all she had done was talk about us behind our backs. But then we saw the messages that she had sent to her friends after our conversation, and it broke our hearts. She had told them everything that we had told her, all of the things that we had said to comfort her. She had told her friends that we had said that she should keep her problems to herself, and that we didn't care about her problems At that point, there was nothing left to say. Our classmate had used our kindness against us. And no matter how hard we tried, we could never forgive her for that.